This is the Ponderous Brick Thinker with a castle update. And the update is, I'm going to focus on the Tower of Fun foundation by carving away some of the bricks and make a little bit more room for the walkway, and the Tower of Immersion, because it needs it. So I am thinking of having this wall incorporate some inverted slopes so that the base of the wall comes in line with this line right here, just like here. That will give a few more rows of studs for this entranceway. I am thinking of incorporating inverted slopes into the wall here so that the base of the wall comes out to this row of studs, which will follow this line right here. This will give a little bit more room as people come in across the bridge. Don't immediately smack into the wall, but going in here. And then I am going to take this opportunity to finalize where the stairs are going to go. So that will determine what's going to happen with this wall. I I kind of want it to also be inverted so that way I can keep this as is, but I rather like how this is looking, which is the rough, raw, natural rock represented by the studs like here. And it should come out this way further, not be carved and then suddenly be rough again. Otherwise, it's going to be inconsistent. So I am thinking of bringing most of it down. This is maybe not because it's right close to the entrance. I don't know if I have enough room. So at least these two kind of merge together to form a rough rock wall coming down, and I'll move the stairs as needed, but that way it can be incorporated with the overall look of the base. I carefully remove the wall so that I can preserve the color combinations, which I kind of liked. The colors combination was not the problem, it was the shape. So now I have this as a guide to rebuild the wall starting here. Luckily, the structure is within the bounds that I needed, so this is the line that I'm aiming for. Um, there. I do need to go in and fill it more there, but I don't think that would be too much of a problem. I did start cutting this down so that it matches this, and hopefully the arch will be ready. But that's the start for right now. And I think I'm gonna start the wall, finish it, then come to this wall and decide what I need to do. Because I don't want to have too many pieces floating around without um, being able to put them back in place. But that's the plan right now. So the wall has been replaced. I put in the slopes in there. It's nothing too dramatic, which is surprising considering it's two stud lines that were brought in, but there's now more room, and it meets up with the plate as needed so that I can support it properly. The next phase will be the stairs and this wall. The wall will need to go out a little bit just to support the corner right here and continue around. But yeah, I need to figure out those stairs. Let's see what I can come up with. So I made some alterations here. I moved the stairs so that they're closer to this side. I put temporary bricks there so I can visualize what it could be, and there is enough room. The other one is here. It could be a balcony, but it could also be a support for something that happens further up. That's still a possibility. And for the rocks, I placed a lip around the edge so that it can be removed as a Tower of Understanding, still coming forth. So I just need to replace the top layer with two plates and a smooth plate so that this can rest on top of and put in the smooth plate. So we'll get to it when we get to it. But right now, I'm going to need to move this out so that it's underneath here to provide that lip. So basically, this is the outer edge that I need to build around. I did rearrange or remove the plates so that I can work there. So the part that's coming up is to test if this is enough room by moving the stairs. Let's see. So these are just plates that, well, let's see. Three looks like they fit. but there's a possibility they're at a slight angle. But the other one is it's now meeting up with the upper plate. There's a slight angle to it. So it might have to be two plates. Okay. So what I can do, so two plates are not enough to have the same intensity as the rest of the rocks, but raising the two plates higher might be enough. But also at the same time, I can combine some of this element idea over here, bring the base of the wall to this line or right next to the stairs, carve out a little bit so it's not a tunnel but half a tunnel so that it comes out a little bit, giving more room for some rocks so that I can build up to this level. So the rocks might start here above the stairs, halfway high, and then build towards the base. Because starting from the ground up, it doesn't seem like it's going to work. So that's probably the best approach, which means I'm going to need to move the wall, which is no big deal. Basically, it's not tied into anything. I have this clear-cut line, so that's something I can work on too. But yeah, two plates is not enough for this area. This one I have a little bit more room, but it's still, the more room, the more plates I can put to stack and create the same effect. So let me move the wall, and then I'll be able to see what height to start the slopes, and then to put the bricks with the horizontal studs, so then I can put some plates there. So one of the benefits by moving the wall is that I get to cover the hole there. I was thinking as to how to support it, because if this was open, it would need some kind of support, maybe extending this right here this way. But I don't have to worry about that anymore, because by putting bricks across, that will be good enough. I don't have to worry about this part because there's going to be no weight on that, and all of this is supported real good. So basically just here, if I can just cross a little bit more, and just like right here, I just need to extend the bricks down that way, and so I'm good there. In fact, it's going to come in like this, actually. So even like here, this part is going to come in this way, so it's rather secure now. Maybe just a little bit bricks, one brick going that way to just cover the gaps. But overall, I don't have to worry about that. But now putting it somewhere like this, yeah, this look okay. The only thing, this is probably not going to stay. I am still thinking of a column coming up to support something up here, but it can be the new architecture and push out from this edge so that this is completely new, but we'll get there. Here's the progress so far. I put in the first slope, just high enough to clear the head, and what I'm realizing is that I am not going to need all these bricks here because there's going to be plates. So it is going to be a mix and match of bricks and plates, but we'll see how that goes. The other thing is if I'm not going to have all the bricks, I'm going to need to put more support here so at least it can support this part of the plate. So luckily I still have more support bricks. but that is where I'm at right now. So the next step is to bring out the wall with slopes at least 2 studs above the staircase, end it about here, and then put plates up so that it kind of overlaps this. This is still going to be removable, so it's not going to be a hard connection. It might look like something like this, where it's plates against brick, but it's going to be plate on plate. So we'll see how that looks. And there we go. So this step is complete. They have reached to that edge, and I also changed some of the bricks here, trying to kind of give it more of a marbled look, because I think the chunks were a little too big, but just mixing it up a bit, putting colors in all the areas kind of helped. So the next part is to put the bricks with the horizontal stud, so I can put plates there and then build the plates up to this level here on both sides. We'll see if I have time to do the arch, but the arch is going to have to be revised just because of different circumstances, but that kind of idea, but not as big. So the next step will be to put the bricks. I just wanted to pause here and document a change. Instead of putting slopes here, I just went directly up and put the horizontal studs so that I can start immediately building this way. It doesn't have to be a flat one. It's more naturalistic if there are different depths, but that is the step so far that I am going for. And now to put the plates. So here is more or less what I had in mind. However, I think it is a little too far to the edge here. I might have to reduce it, bring it in one more stud row this way. Maybe just it protrudes out one and get rid of that one. The reason being, it does create a lot of horizontal space that I'm not sure how to deal with. It could be a balcony, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to leave it here. I put a pause just so that I can think about it some more. The other thing I do need to think about is this side. Not that it's going to be anything too drastic, it's just I haven't worked on that as much as this side, but that's where the progress is so far. So now it is time for the Tower of Immersion to start working on the tower's support system, meaning the columns for the basement. I do want to keep visibility going in without having to do really thick columns. So here's an example where, yes, I have a 2x2 brick column and it pretty much looks set. It could be that. Issue being, I only have a limited number of this blue, no, a medium azure, I believe, and it can only go so far. So, kind of looking at the temporary columns I have here, I do have 2x2 round bricks. I notice how it looks thinner than the 2x2 regular bricks, and that is because it doesn't have the corner pieces, so it looks thinner. It is matching the width, the sideways, but not the diagonals. So that's why it's a little bit different. So what if I start mixing 2x2 round bricks with the 2x2 brick columns to give some variety? But I'm thinking a little bit more than that. Um, in architecture, you can have the exterior indicate what's happening in the interior so that there's a sense of what's inside is also on the outside, and the outside knows what's in the inside. Kind of the wall is communicating this dialogue. So my thought is, what if using the colors that were used for the Avatar Way of Water sets to represent the sea be used to make the columns? So one, I do have some round bricks and other colors. Let's see. and the single stud bricks also, and then use the color combinations that were for the Mako submarine and the Illum Discovery, just kind of looking at how colors were used to indicate this is coral, this is sea life. So I would say the colors found here are fair game to be the construction colors of the columns, so that it the columns represent the sea life. So these color combinations will be good up to more or less this level. And then the upper level will have a different color combination, still in a 2x2 format, but it would be, now I'm going to take a guess as to what I'm going to be doing, but it will be so that we have sea, land, and then sky, which will be above. So that there's three zones in the Tower of Immersions where someone can be among nature in the three different ways that we have here on Earth. So that the sea will have the dark green, lime green, turquoise, bright orange, dark pink, magenta, pink. This is glow in the dark, so it's very rare. It will definitely be in there, but not in a column. And and so this one has lavender, purple, medium purple maybe, and turquoise. Bright green fish. We'll see how those go. But so in that kind of sense, those colors I have some representation of in the 1x1 format or single stud format, so that they can be used in some combination in the columns to kind of help bridge the gap. So I know that didn't work, but something like that. So by just focusing on the columns for the basement in the Tower of Immersion, I can develop a system of trying to understand what's the rest of the architecture gonna look like for the Tower of Understanding and the Tower of Fun, so that choosing the colors that best represent what's going on in there. And that will help develop what are my color options, but also are there any special pieces in that color, or is there a limitation that I need to be aware of so that I can plan accordingly and not just go blindly into making the rest of the towers. But this will help me kind of determine here, what is the pattern? What is the architecture going to look like? And for right now, having it a solid medium azure is not really a good idea just because I have limitations in that. But by having combinations of color, like have I done in other parts of the castle, that in combination, they can fill out the walls and the towers of the overall architecture. So that's probably the best way to go about it. So let me do some sketches for the columns and go from there. Remember when I said that if you do something often enough, it becomes normalized? Well, so this is a very combination using the medium azure as the consistent color. And let's see here. I see some successful areas, others not so much, especially here. It seems too straight. By having the rounded bricks, it breaks up that line and allows for the different colors to be there as expected. So somewhere like here, even though this is a straight edge, it's rounded, straight, then rounded. So it's kind of varied there, and it's expected to have something, or it's expected that you don't need to have consistency when you have the varied shapes. And the rounded versus the regular bricks does provide that kind of the break of the line that lets you put in different colors. The color combinations themselves, that's still in the works. Particularly like here, I put in some single stud bricks, or sorry, plates in holes like here. and there could be more horizontal studs, so there could be more very colors, very precisely placed. And it can also be for other kinds of plates and for the grills, just so that you could break up the color combination or introduce new colors, where you just have to put a brick there, but you could put another color right next to it. And then after this, I went into the mode of what if it's organized. So it's consisted 3 medium Acer bricks on top, single stud bricks here, the regular kind, just 3, and then 6 rounded bricks of the same color on each side. And then it's 3, I'm sorry, it's 3, let's say variables that can be right here. So it's rounded and regular bricks. And then 2 bricks, which I put as rounded because these are rounded all the way around, 2 by 2 bricks. It's the narrowest point of the column, which is the center. So it is kind of methodical in terms of how it looks. It's okay. My only concern is having enough of these single color rounded bricks to be enough for other parts of the castle, but that's a possibility. And then I went into more organized fashion of using the medium Assur. In this case, it is every other brick is the medium Assur, but in between can be any of the bricks. And here it seems a little too plain right here compared to everything else that's happening. So this is, really, it's not attracting to me, but here, yes, because it's rounded in between the medium Assur. And then just to bring up more variety, it's a medium assort between every 2 bricks of whatever color. And again, wherever there's rounded bricks, that's really makes it interesting. There's shadow, and it just breaks the line, so it's not um, a regular column. There's something more going on to it. And then this one, if you notice, the other medium assurs have been the regular bricks of some kind, but here I introduced the rounded medium assur bricks so that it's mixed in with the other colored rounded bricks. And this one is more promising. I just need to think about it a little bit some more, but I think this is a good start. And what I like about it is I can continue some of the lines. Let me see, what was a good example? Right here. So the lime green rounded bricks, they kind of create a visual line as to kind of connect, even though there's an interruption. And this came from other sets as well, in terms of if you have a consistent line, even though there's interruptions, it creates that vertical line, that vertical sense. So that is something that has to be planned for, even though this is right next to each other, it has the same effect as having a broken line here, just because the colors are consistent. The other part is, it goes more into this one, but also in the first 2, where there was not really a order to it. It was just basically what would look good at that moment when I was building it. But that allowed me to be flexible in terms of what I had at hand. Having something more defined just forces me to only use certain bricks at certain places and hopefully have enough of that kind. Over here, I can't really use all of the bricks because I have the dark green without having dark green in the rounded forms. So this is the only place I can use the dark green, and it's not as it doesn't add the interest to me. So by having dark green mixed in with rounded, Then, okay, so then I can use it and still have an interesting impact on the column. So it is more or less because of what I have on hand, I'm going to need to go into something more able to be flexible. So it's something along here where the first two were more chaotic, but also this one where I use the rounded bricks of the medium assur just to, if there's going to be several medium assur next to each other, I can still break up that line by putting a rounded brick of that color in there so that it's not so it's not detracting. However, so like this way, and it's all how you see it because here it seems kind of blah. It's it's a column, but having it like this, you see this chunk of medium azure just floating in between all of these colors. Now that is kind of interesting. So I wonder if I can rotate the columns. Just because the way that the rounded is really noticeable when you're looking at this corner line or this depth, and then it goes in because of the roundedness. This is what hmm. I'll have to see if I can do that. But I think as is, this is a good start in terms of the architecture. So let's see. This is how it looks like when I place it in here. It's a little too tall, but it's more or less right there. So through the transparent pieces, the colors are shifted because it's a light blue transparent piece, so that it now says there is something going on there, but it's not going to be missed just because of all the colors. Okay. And then this one. There's something on the other side. Let me just put it in and see how it looks in terms of through the transparent piece. Okay. And let me see about this one. The color shift because of the transparent blue does make it noticeably like you don't really see the color. So that is something to consider. If I am going to be really particular about the colors used, I have to say or think how it looks like through the transparent pieces. But I don't think I'm going to go that far. As long as they're variable next to each other, so as long as there is a difference of color right next to each neighbor in the column, then I think it'll be okay, even though this is not, it alters the true color of the columns. But in person, you get a better sense of what it is in the video. So let me just put this in there. So the multicolored columns are noticed more than the column that is of a single color, and that can still work. I do like how this is developing. It does give me a little bit of hope that there is something here in terms of mixing colors in a single architectural element, such as the column. I'll probably need to do a count as to what is available. So most of these colors are only going to occur in this part of the castle. They might appear in other parts. It's just hard to say, but with further sketches, I might be able to develop, okay, this is the only place, for example, coral is going to occur. So that means I can really, I can relax as to, yep, I can put all the coral here and not worry that I'm going to be lacking in another part of the castle. But yeah, this is good start. So this has been the Ponderous Brick Thinker. Thank you for stopping by. If you liked the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this project, go ahead and subscribe and sign up for notifications. and see you next time.